the next challenge will be presented by Patricia.
Yeah, and Cesar.
Ah, the two of you. Okay, Cesar and Patricia. Welcome. Will you keep it short?
Well, my name is Patricia Martin and my colleague is Cesar González Pérez. We work at Institute of Heritage Science in Santiago de Compostela here in Spain. We don't want to talk a lot. We want to encourage you to debate or to talk about our topic, so this is the idea, I hope. So the only idea is that we work in a very multidisciplinary team with archaeologists and anthropologists, historians, sociologists, and computer engineers, and so on. So we are particularly interested in this question about how achieve the collaboration not only between disciplines but across disciplines in order to solve research questions in a global way of thinking, so in digital humanities. We think that maybe one step to achieve this question could be talking about interoperability, about data interoperability, about how can understand other models of data, and how can communicate our own models to other people. So if we look some examples of these kind of projects, we always can see a data tension between if we want to standardize, to use standards and to move in that direction in order to interoperate and communicate in a better way with other people. And on the other hand, we have to build some data models for our purpose, for our project, for our research question, for our, for our team. Okay. So in this tension, we sometimes forget that maybe data follow a model. We have an underlying model besides. So this model talks to us about what entities and properties are documented and what relationships are established or are important for us or not, what level of detail is used, and what information is omitted, because it's also important what kind of information are not documented at all in our model. Okay, and we are all time thinking about that conceptual models can be a solution or a partial solution for this idea, because the conceptual models are technology independent. We don't want to have some noise, some technological noise in that, and are very close to our reality. We can do it with our own knowledge about our domain in digital humanities in any field that we are talking about. We can see here a conceptual model very briefly. For instance, we have the concept of a structure that can be a building or whatever, and this structure is documented, for instance, in terms of the use of the building or a content or whatever. And this building is located in a place, in a region, in a country, and this place can be documented in two forms. For instance, in a map point with coordinates or an area or whatever. Okay, this kind of simple structures in data that are technology independent and so on. So we think that maybe this kind of conceptual models try to mitigate this tension, because avoid the imposing a single model on everyone and avoid the proliferation of ad hoc models. So we are more or less in the middle of this tension, and particularly we are talking about abstract reference models. What is an abstract reference model? It's a model. It's a structure information model, okay, that talks in a very high level of abstraction, so we can agree more or less in a very in a high level of abstraction with our partners, with our team, with other teams, and so on. And then we need to derive our own models for our own project or purpose or whatever. So we more or less are working in that way. We are agree in a high level of abstraction, but then we can refine our models and to establish particular concepts for our purpose. So this is our idea, but we want to know your opinion and your position about that. And Cesar, if you want to add something?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Patricia. As Patricia said, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. As Patricia said, we think that abstract reference models can perhaps be a good solution to mitigating this tension between the need to standardize, the need to homogenize the way we deal with data in order to collaborate, in order to cooperate, but on the other hand, avoiding the imposition of a single way of working to everyone, because that wouldn't work at all. So we bring a list of issues here, a list of direct questions to you guys. So perhaps we can discuss. We have a few slides. This is just the first one, right? So I don't know how much time we have left.
Well, perhaps we can see what.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I will try to lead the discussion, if I may. One of the biggest things that worries us is that abstract reference models make a big assumption, and that is that it is possible to reach a consensus among all the digital humanists, if you want, about what a truly universal model of reality is. So we should be agreeing on what the basic concepts of interest are, and that's a pretty big assumption to make. So this is the first topic perhaps that we can address. Do you guys believe that this truly universal ARM or abstract reference model can be obtained? And if so, what would be the right scope? Is it possible to perhaps arrive to a consensus within a small discipline, like, I don't know, prehistoric archaeology in the northwest of Spain? Or can we be more ambitious and reach a consensus which is wide and deeper? Any takes on that?
We do have 6 more minutes, so go wild. I think Lief was first here.
Great, thanks guys. As you know, I have many opinions about these things, so I won't bore people by going on ad nauseum. I think one of the, as you very nicely captured, I think the real tensions which are there, and that's what's so great about this as a challenge. I think my feeling is that there is clearly no way that you will even by suggesting that there is some universal truth, a very large proportion of humanists are going to freak out and want to not play your game at all, in the first place. However, a lot of other people will agree that to make progress, to be able to even kind of compare our work, we do need to have conventions. And I think so 2 things that I would say in areas that I've been working in have had some success is, one, to start moving towards a notion of convention rather than standard, moving away from the idea that it's truth and something that's a little bit grayer that says, for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to use. We
never
terms.
Mentioned the word truth.
Yes, well, but that's also true. So, or not true, a non-truthy statement. The other thing is the organic growth. So not thinking from the outset that you're going to get buy-in from everybody, but if you can start with small communities who can demonstrate value by sharing conventions, then other people tend to want to adopt those through time.
Okay, so if you want to go that way and grow organically, would you be willing to adopt an abstract reference model and perhaps build from it instead of creating your own way of working?
Okay, let's first hear this reaction.
Well, I mean, I was going to go onto the organic view too, and I wonder if the ARM needs to be preconceived. I mean, couldn't we let the ARM itself grow organically? If you just use a very simple way of tagging things, like you would do in Evernote, for instance, in which you tag your website so they go in different places. you could see what people consider a norm, right? And eventually the most common norms would rise at the top. And I think that that's a way of democratizing the whole process. I don't know if it's possible to do it, you know, to let people decide, I'm willing to go with tagging my own, you know, documents, my own reasoning, my own dissemination, and then perhaps your tags are never going to work, but a standard perhaps will appear in the end. I'm not sure. Yeah. There's
2 more minutes. What would you like to ask?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to remark that what we are advocating here, the use of abstract reference models, is not a finished, prepackaged standard that you either use or not use. That would be meaningless, because that wouldn't make any sense, right? What we are advocating is the use of a very few, very abstract, very vague, if you want, concepts. And then you would refine, you would derive your own concept for your work, for your particular project, your particular work, from those very vague and abstract concepts. You would be able, perfectly able, to use your very own concepts in your work, but still they will be compatible, so to speak, with that abstract reference model.
Yeah.
So we are going pretty much against the standardization approach, but with that ARM in mind, of course. So let me pose that question to you guys. Would you be willing to be part of a trial run, if you want, about this? Would you be willing to adopt an ARM and see what happens? Imagine your next project. Would you be willing to take a set of predefined concepts that we would give you and use them for your project instead of creating your own? How does that feel?
How difficult is to adopt?
I don't have the answers. I wouldn't be here if I did.
I think it's depend that because the key is the interoperability. If you don't have this need, you don't think about that. Okay, but if I work in my own project, I develop my own data model or whatever, information structure or whatever, and that's it. But if I want to, you know, interoperate with others and communicate my ideas and to interoperate in terms of data, and not only in data, for instance, in using this data to reasoning or to ask some research questions, it's other work. You need to more or less agree with some other people.
Yeah, that was Yves' point.
It's
yes.
like, yeah.
So to round off this challenge, who would like to make a last remark from the room? Elisabeth? It's all for the benefit of all those online viewers.
Okay, I keep thinking that perhaps adopting a very abstract model when you start a project could actually be helpful, because you could have a basis already on which you start to discuss about the project, and then you can always change things. So you wouldn't start with 0 in your mind. So I think perhaps it could be, one could actually think about it and try it out, and then we see what happens with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're ending this challenge with your first volunteer. And thank you for this challenging challenge.
Thank you.